take some time today to quickly talk about Hot Wheels Unleashed. In some ways, it feels a little similar to F-Zero in principle, not exactly in gameplay. The track's design is very reminiscent of F-Zero in some ways, because it's not always flat, and the element of customization is very strong in this game. The track editor exists, it's built in, can be used to design tracks on the same level as the official ones created by the developers. There's a livery editor that completely blows F-Zero GX out of the water. While you can't really make your own emblems, at least in normal gameplay, in this game, you can use several of them, hundreds even. You could probably go over 500 completely different layers. And that's before we get to the fact that you don't really have as much control with rotating the machine in GX, which limits your creative opportunities for the placement of some emblems, which means you would have to go out of your way to get very creative to find ways to enlarge emblems or make them appear smaller. Something that's probably appealing to those of you who desire some kind of connectivity is the fact that this game does use online features quite heavily. You can race online, that's a given, with multiple opponents on these tracks. But after that, you will be required to use online in order to race custom tracks shared by others, even those you made yourself in an offline creation mode that one would have thought to use offline. Yes, you have to go online, share your own creation just to race your own custom track. This goes for custom liveries too. Even if you made your own, you would have to share your own stuff, download it, and then use it while also being online. It wouldn't work if you're offline. There's a shop here that rotates every so often, but you can also buy vehicles here. Okay, when races start, the start gate is something you have to pay attention to. It determines whether you go for a best start or if you just mash a certain button until you're ready to go. Compare that with F-Zero GX, where you mainly just have to tap a button and you're all ready to go without risk of burning out at the start. The physics system is a little different. It's a little more simple, sure, but you can just lift off of almost everything. And if you're using the right vehicle, that can happen. It can really be hard to regain control of your vehicle if you end up in the right position, but your vehicle will always set itself right if it's on its roof. Now, there are magnetic strips that can be found on some courses. These allow you to go upside down and all around, but they're not as adhesive as, well,
You got horsepower!
there are some things that can make someone think of F-Zero, aside from the anti-gravity, of course. Dash plates, there are refill strips, there's also the boost. This kind of boost, I mean. They come in two different flavors. In one case, you can boost for a set amount of time, and in the other one, you just simply hold the boosting button as long as you want. Interestingly, you can also upgrade vehicles too. They start at common with the lowest rank and can rise to become legendary. But while you're upgrading, you should also pay attention to how the boost will change. In some cases, the boost will increase in one style, and in other cases, the boost will change to a completely different style. Hot Wheels City Rumble is the main mode you'll be spending time with. It's also one of the fastest ways to earn currency, like coins and gears. It's kinda like tickets in F-Zero GX. The only difference is, there's a lot more to use them on. And what do I think of the replay mode? It's alright. It only cycles through a few cameras, however, compared to F-Zero GX, where there were all sorts of dynamic camera angles, which made the presentation a lot of fun to watch after every race. With all that said, what would a longtime F-Zero fan think of Hot Wheels Unleashed? Yeah, it'd be a fine game. Very nice arcade racer, somewhat simple, although the road might be a little too thin for F-Zero veterans. And it can feel a little slow because of the drifting, whereas F-Zero players are used to faster turning. As for all the other stuff like the ability to create so many layers with which to decorate a vehicle, that would be something very welcome, I imagine. Unfortunately, because of the need to be online, some players may be left out of certain content. For example, there used to be racing seasons, where there was extra vehicles for players to earn in a similar system to a battle pass. As of this time, there is no additional content for this game being planned. So, while players can still catch up on the DLC, such as the DC Superheroes DLC, there are racing seasons like SpongeBob SquarePants and the DC Supervillains that players are just gonna have to miss out on. Same thing with the Jurassic World series. A shame too, because a lot of those cars are actually pretty powerful. Though if you're still interested, you could always pick this up. At least it's on sale right now.